The president was aware he was being recorded. This is the first time it is being played publicly.
These are bad, sick people.
That was your coup, you know, against you.
Well, it started right at the
like
beginning.
when Millie's talking about, oh, you were going to try to do a coup. No, they were trying to do that before you even were sworn in.
No teleprompters or cameras in sight. What he says in that moment might just shift the entire landscape of his current legal troubles. In a remarkable turn, a federal judge played this secret audio in court, catching everyone by surprise. It's honestly hard to believe he said that out loud.
That's right, trying to overthrow your election.
Well, with Millie, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him.
So let me describe this jaw-dropping moment that I'm sure will have lawyers buzzing for years to come. Picture this. A recording from July of 2021 at Trump's Bedminster Golf Club, which is pretty much like his private home, where he thought he could have a private chat. And what's he discussing? Classified military documents, no less, with aides and staff hanging around. On this recording, which anyone can access, he makes a pretty huge admission. He openly acknowledges that he still has classified material after his presidency. Can you believe he actually said this out loud? He refers to these documents as highly confidential and sensitive, and he admits he can't declassify them anymore. It's right there, recorded for all to hear. Now get this, a federal judge actually played this audio in court right in front of everyone, the media, prosecutors, the whole legal scene.
This was the Defense Department and him. Wow. We looked at some. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long. Look. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, you know. Except it is like highly confident.
Yeah.
And when Trump heard it, he completely lost his cool. According to reports from folks who were actually there, he was so angry and frustrated that he just walked out of the courtroom mid-session. He couldn't take hearing his own voice admitting to these things in front of all those people. This reaction alone tells you how serious the situation is for him legally. The timing couldn't be more critical. This isn't some ancient tape being pulled up for a story. No, this just dropped into the public record a few days ago. A federal judge thought it was significant enough to play during an ongoing case, and it significantly undermines everything Trump has proclaimed about declassifying documents for years.
So let's listen to this.
The witness just admitted that we won the trial. And the judge should end this trial immediately. Thank you.
He and his lawyers have insisted that he had absolute power to declassify anything he wanted, hinging their entire legal strategy on that claim. It's pretty striking to hear the audio where he clearly states the opposite of what he's supposed to. There he is on tape admitting that he couldn't declassify certain documents. He's openly acknowledging it, his exact words coming right from him. This is the kind of smoking gun that prosecutors dream about. It makes the judge's job a lot easier and makes things pretty tough for a defendant because you can't really argue against your own voice when there's an actual recording that anyone can listen to.
This is secret information. But look at this. You attack, and
Hillary would print that out all the time, you know.
she'd send
Private
it,
email.
she'd send it to Anthony Weiner,
Yeah.
the pervert.
Please print.
By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Claiming media bias just doesn't hold water. The tape is what it is, and his words are solid evidence. There's no way to twist or spin that. The special counsel working on this case is calling this evidence devastating, and honestly, they're spot on. It shows something very serious legally. This proves the willful retention of classified documents. Willful means it was intentional, he knew what he was doing, and he did it anyway. This tape indicates that Trump was aware those documents were classified and sensitive. He knew he couldn't just declassify them whenever it suited him. Yet he still kept them.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it, and he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the
You did.
papers.
It's pretty
This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
I don't know, we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to
Declassify
figure out
it.
a
That's not a mistake. That's a deliberate act of retaining something he wasn't supposed to have, which is really significant for the prosecution. Now, they're not just showing that he had documents. They're proving he knew they were classified and made a conscious decision to hold on to them. This creates a much stronger legal case than before and is the kind of evidence that wins in federal court. It's exactly what prosecutors dream of, proof of intent, and now they have it in his own voice. The courtroom drama surrounding all of this has really ramped up in intensity. The judge handling the case has ordered Trump to hand over recordings and call logs from January 6th, documents he's supposed to submit.
See, as president, I could have declassified
Yeah.
it. Now I can't, but this is
yeah.
classified.
Now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so. Look, we here and I have, and you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
It's
you.
incredible, right?
No,
Hey, bring some cokes in, please.
But has refused to do so. He outright defied the court order and said no. So the judge stepped in. Things are getting pretty serious for Trump. A judge has given him just 24 hours to comply with a court order, and he even threatened to arrest him for contempt if he doesn't. Contempt of court isn't something to shrug off. It means Trump could end up in serious legal trouble, possibly even jail time for not following a federal judge's instructions. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, the judge plays a jaw-dropping audio recording in court. It feels like the legal situation is tightening around Trump. One pressure after another. Let's break down what happened in that courtroom because the details are crucial to really grasp how grave the situation is. Many might overlook some of the finer points, but those could determine whether Trump avoids consequences or faces significant prison time. So the recording dates back to July 2021. This was long before Trump was indicted and well before the public was buzzing about the classified documents case. At that time, Trump was at Bedminster, his golf club in New Jersey, basically his second home. He was out of the White House since January 2021, now a private citizen. Yet, despite not being in power anymore, he was openly discussing classified military documents. He was surrounded by staff and aides chatting away about critical Pentagon documents in plain sight of multiple people. Here's the game changer. Someone was recording the whole conversation. The audio reveals Trump clearly stating that these documents are highly confidential. He even acknowledges how sensitive they are and confirms their classified status. He knows exactly what he's holding. Then comes the part that could completely undermine his defense. Trump is heard saying that he can't declassify the documents anymore, declaring, "I can't declassify them anymore. I can't do it. It's too late." That statement stands in stark contrast to what his lawyers have been arguing in court, claiming Trump had the absolute authority to declassify anything during his presidency. Years after Donald Trump left the presidency, he finds himself in a tricky spot. He's accepted that he can't declassify certain documents anymore. They're stamped classified, and there's no way around it. This admission completely undermines his whole defense strategy. Everyone in the courtroom knows it, from the prosecution to the judge. And even Trump himself probably walked in thinking the judge would just ask some routine questions, or maybe they could find a way to stall things a bit. Then out of nowhere, the judge drops a real shocker. He plays a tape. It's Trump's own voice from years back, openly admitting things he's been denying and that his legal team has been arguing against. Hearing himself contradict his own defense sends Trump into a tailspin. To understand the bigger picture, you need to consider what happened on 27th of November 2025. That's when the judge ordered the immediate release of recordings and call logs related to January 6th. For a long time, Trump had been resisting these orders, straight up refusing to hand over what the court asked for. The judge put his foot down, saying, "No more delays, no more excuses. Get the materials over or face the consequences." Yet Trump didn't budge, essentially walking into court and saying he wouldn't comply, which is a clear case of contempt. Fast forward to 6th January 2026, which was just days ago, and Trump is back in front of the judge, who is absolutely furious. The judge cuts down the deadline to just 24 hours to submit all those recordings and call logs. No more extensions, no more delays. He even threatens Trump with contempt charges and arrest. This is serious business, and it's evident the judge is done playing nice. When the judge plays that tape, it marks a significant moment, turning everything public and laying bare the situation Trump finds himself in. You can really see how Trump completely loses his cool in the courtroom. Apparently, those who were there noticed he was angry, frustrated, and clearly upset. So what does he do? He just walks out, leaving everything behind, including his own trial. It seems he couldn't take hearing his own voice play back in front of a room full of media judges and prosecutors. Now, here's the part many might not grasp about this moment, which is key to understanding just how bad it is. Walking out in the middle of a court session, that's not a good look at all. It's actually a disaster in terms of optics. It really shows a lack of respect for the court. It's almost like he's signaling that he's so fed up with the legal process that he'd rather just ditch it. This plays right into what the prosecution is pushing, that he thinks he's above it all, defying authority and ignoring court orders. By walking out, he's not just leaving. He's making his whole legal situation worse and supporting the prosecution's argument that he doesn't respect the court or the law. And then there's the special counsel calling this tape devastating. Why? Because it solidifies a serious legal point. It shows he willfully retained classified documents. Basically, willful means he did this on purpose, knowingly and intentionally. The tape proves Trump was aware these documents were classified and sensitive, containing national defense information. He knew he couldn't just sweep in and declassify them at will, yet he chose to keep them anyway. Holding on to them and refusing to return them isn't an innocent mistake or misunderstanding. It's willful retention, which points to intentional criminal behavior. This actually complicates things for him even more than the initial charges, because now it's not just about having classified documents. The prosecution can show he knew they were classified and made a conscious choice to keep them. That's a stronger legal case, the kind that helps prosecutors win trials and secure convictions. They thrive on that kind of evidence demonstrating intent. So here's the deal. They've got a tape with Trump's own voice, and it's a game changer. This recording is solid evidence. It's documented and recorded for everyone to hear. What's really interesting is how this audio ties back to other recordings they've talked about before in the case. There have been other clips of Trump discussing classified material, but this one feels different. It's fresh, new to the public, and taken in a private setting where he can't shake off the claims. There's no blaming the media for twisting his words or suggesting someone misheard him. It's his voice, plain as day, and it's unmistakable. And just think about the timing. It's January 2026, right in the middle of the midterms. Republicans are out there trying to campaign, discussing inflation, and other important issues voters care about. Yet every news cycle is buzzing about this explosive tape of Trump admitting to holding classified documents. This little tidbit is overshadowing everything else, grabbing the spotlight and dominating conversations in the media. That's a huge blow for the Republican Party, keeping the focus on Trump's legal troubles instead of their policy agenda. This tape also ties together everything else that's been swirling around Trump lately. The speeches that got a lot of backlash, the resignation of the doctor for giving false health reports, the Secret Service raising concerns about his stability, and those odd incidents at Davos in Detroit. All this paints a scene of chaos surrounding Trump, suggesting things are really starting to unravel. Now, with this tape, it's not just about him looking unfit physically or mentally. He's looking unfit legally and facing some serious legal troubles, maybe even prison time. Now, let's break down what this means for Trump legally and how it impacts the political landscape. This tape fundamentally shifts the narrative. It alters the calculus in a big way for what's possible and likely to unfold in the near future. The first crucial point here is that this greatly undermines Trump's defense around declassifying documents. His entire legal strategy hinges on one argument he's been repeating like a mantra. So a while back when he was president, he really believed he could declassify any documents he wanted. His defense has been built around that idea, and his lawyers have been pushing it in their court filings. Plus, he keeps repeating it in public. But here's where things get interesting. There's actual audio from just a few years ago where he clearly says he can't declassify certain documents. His own words just completely undermine his case. Now, his lawyers are going to find it tough to argue in court about his declassification power when he himself is on tape saying the opposite. That's a hard position to defend. The prosecution is definitely going to play that tape for the jury multiple times. And each time they do, you can just see Trump's defense crumbling. Legally, this recording gives the special counsel solid evidence of willful retention, showing that Trump knew those documents were classified and that he wasn't able to declassify them. He kept them anyway, which shifts everything into a much more serious territory. It's not just about having the documents anymore. They're now able to prove he acted with criminal intent and that he knowingly did what he did. And with that direction, the chances of conviction are looking a lot stronger. Plus, the obstruction aspect really matters here, especially since he outright defied. The judge has ordered Trump to hand over his recordings and call logs, but Trump straight up said no. This refusal isn't just stubbornness, it's actually obstruction, which adds a new layer to his legal troubles. He's not just dealing with issues related to classified documents anymore. Now he's got potential obstruction charges on his plate, too. It's like the legal pressures are piling up from all sides, making it clear that he could end up in serious trouble. Now let's talk about Trump walking out in the middle of court proceedings. That's a big deal. Both politically and legally, it shows that he's lost patience and can't manage the legal process. His frustration and anger led him to just bail on his own trial, showing clear contempt for the court. Judges have a long memory, and they don't forget when someone disrespects the court. You better believe that this little stunt will influence the judge's decisions moving forward and set a particular tone for the entire trial. By walking out, Trump really made his situation worse. He displayed the exact attitude that the prosecution is aiming to prove, that he thinks he's untouchable, above the law, and can ignore court orders simply because he wants to. This move could also shake up his image among his supporters in a few tricky ways. Some of them might see this as him standing up to an unjust legal system, thinking he's fighting against what they consider persecution. However, others, particularly those independent swing voters who sit in the middle, will likely interpret this as a disregard for our legal system. They could view it as evidence of him being above the law, and that kind of perception will definitely influence how they vote in the midterms. It also affects whether they're willing to back candidates associated with him. And let's not forget about that tape. It's going to be all over the place. You can expect it to pop up on news channels repeatedly, flood social media, and even find its way into campaign ads. Democrats won't hold back using it aggressively in their messaging. They'll point to that tape, highlighting Trump's own voice, admitting to holding classified documents, and that's going to resonate deeply with voters. It's pretty astounding to hear him admit it directly on the tape. This audio will pack a serious punch politically because voters won't have to rely on what news outlets say. They can actually hear Trump's own voice and his own words. This could really dampen Republican turnout in the upcoming midterms. When the leader of the party is caught on tape admitting to crimes, it makes it tough for supporters to rally behind candidates for the party. And convincing swing voters to pick the Republican side is going to be a real challenge when the president is tangled up in legal trouble. Candidates in competitive districts are going to face constant scrutiny about this tape. They'll have to distance themselves from Trump, which could lead to some significant rifts within the party, especially when they need to present a united front. Plus, the fallout from this tape might just open the door to even more serious legal charges or a potential conviction. The special counsel now holds a stronger negotiating position, meaning there's a chance they might offer Trump a plea deal, plead guilty to some charges in exchange for dropping others. With this tape as evidence, going to trial could give the prosecution a lot of confidence. You can bet Trump's legal team is likely scrambling right now, reevaluating everything because the stakes have just gotten so much higher. And then there's the looming question about the Republican Party's future if Trump does get convicted. What do? Stand by him, turn their backs, or try to create some distance? This is going to really test the loyalty within the party like never before. If he faces crimes and ends up in prison, that's not just a political mess. That's a legal quagmire with real repercussions. We're talking about a former president potentially going to jail, which is something we've never seen in American history. This whole situation ties back to a range of other incidents surrounding Trump, too, like those slurred speeches at rallies, the doctor resigning over faked health reports, the Secret Service concerns about his stability, those odd mic cuts at Fox News, and the peculiar moments at Davos. Everything seems to be interconnected, which just adds layers to the unfolding drama. This tape from Detroit really adds to the whole situation. It paints a pretty clear picture that things are unraveling, showing how Trump is facing troubles, not just legally, but politically, and even possibly with his health. All of this combines to create a chaotic atmosphere around his administration, with conditions that are just getting worse. The stakes for the upcoming midterm elections are incredibly high. If Trump's legal issues keep getting worse, if new evidence surfaces, or if he ends up being convicted, we're looking at a shift in the entire political scene that could impact how people cast their votes, who ends up controlling Congress, and what Trump's future looks like after his presidency. It has the potential to shake up everything. So what's next in this ongoing legal drama? We can expect the prosecution to ramp up their efforts, filing new charges and possibly offering plea deals. Trump's legal team will likely be scrambling to negotiate something before it heads to trial. Within the Republican Party, there will be some serious discussions about how to manage this situation and protect their interests. Candidates in pivotal districts will probably want to distance themselves from Trump as quickly as they can. And let's not forget, this tape is going to be featured in campaign ads for a long time. That's the direction we're heading in, and it certainly indicates a lot about what's in store for the world of politics.